The massive doors of the Draxian Council chamber slid open with a deep hum that echoed through the vast hall. War Master Thomas Blackwell stepped inside, his polished boots clicking against the crystal floor. Above him, the ceiling displayed 1,000 stars, each one representing a world the Empire had conquered over 3,000 years. Thomas walked to the center of the circular room where the High Lords sat on their elevated thrones. His heart beat with excitement. Today, he would present his latest discovery to the Council. Today, he would add another world to the Empire's collection. High Lord Marcus looked down at Thomas with sharp eyes. The old ruler had seen countless wars and conquered hundreds of worlds himself. Nothing surprised him anymore. Or so he thought. "Speak, War Master," Marcus commanded. Thomas activated his wrist device. A holographic image appeared in the air, a blue and green planet spinning slowly. "My lords, this is the third planet in a system called Sol. The natives call it Earth." Lord Edward leaned forward, studying the image. "How many inhabitants?" 8 billion, my lord. They are called humans." A murmur ran through the council. 8 billion was not a small number. But it was the next information that made some of the lords smile. "Their technology is primitive," Thomas continued. "They have basic fusion drives and can barely travel beyond their own moon. They fight with kinetic weapons, essentially throwing rocks at high speeds. Some of them even still use chemical explosives called nuclear weapons." Lord Catherine raised an eyebrow. "And they refused our invitation to join the Empire?" "Yes, my lady." Thomas couldn't hide his grin. "Their ambassador, a woman named Rebecca Miller, told our diplomatic team, and I quote, 'We would rather eat glass than kneel to you.'" Laughter filled the chamber. Lord Edward slapped his armrest in amusement. Brave words for primitives who barely left their own planet. But Admiral Henry, standing beside Thomas, did not laugh. He was an old soldier who had fought in more battles than most of the young lords combined. Something about this situation bothered him. "War Master," Henry said carefully, "our intelligence reports show unusual activity in their outer solar system. They have mining operations on scales that seem excessive for their technology level. Hidden bases on several moons." Thomas waved his hand dismissively. "They are scared, Henry. They watch too many of their own fictional stories about alien invasions. They are building shelters and hiding like prey animals. It means nothing." "Perhaps," Henry said quietly. But doubt lingered in his voice. Marcus stood from his throne, his decision already made. "War Master Blackwell, you will take 50 ships to this Earth. Give them 1 day to surrender. If they refuse, show them why defiance is foolish. Make an example that other worlds will remember." Thomas bowed deeply. "It will be my honor, High Lord. I estimate 3 days to complete the conquest. Perhaps 4. "Excellent. When Earth kneels, we will show the galaxy that the Empire's power is absolute." Marcus sat back down. "You are dismissed." As the council members left the chamber, Henry caught up with Thomas in the corridor. The younger man was practically bouncing with excitement. "Tom, wait," Henry said, grabbing his arm. "I have a bad feeling about this mission." Thomas laughed and put his hand on Henry's shoulder. "My friend, you worry too much. Look at the facts. They have 8 billion people but only 300 combat ships. Those ships move slower than our cargo vessels. Their weapons cannot penetrate our shields. This will not even be a real battle, just a demonstration. Then why do I feel like we are missing something important?" "Because you are old and cautious," Thomas said with affection in his voice. "Trust me, Henry. In 1 week, we will be back here celebrating another easy victory. Earth will join the Empire like all the others before it. There is no difference this time." But Henry knew something that Thomas had forgotten in his excitement. Sometimes, the most dangerous enemy was not the one who looked strong. Sometimes, it was the one who had nothing left to lose. Far away on Earth, in a command center buried deep beneath the mountains, Admiral Rebecca Miller watched the recorded transmission of the Draxian Council meeting. Her team had hacked into their communications weeks ago. "They are sending 50 ships," said General William, standing beside her. Rebecca nodded slowly. Her face showed no emotion, but her hands gripped the edge of the table. "Good. 50 ships means they think we are weak. They think this will be easy. Should we try to negotiate again?" "No." Rebecca's voice was ice cold. "They see us as animals to be tamed. You cannot negotiate with someone who does not see you as equals." She turned to face her command staff. "Activate Operation Mousetrap. Every weapon, every trap, every soldier. The moment they cross into our solar system, We hit them with everything we have. A young officer named Peter spoke up nervously. Even with all our preparations, we might lose. They have better technology, more ships. Lieutenant, Rebecca interrupted him, humanity did not climb to the top of Earth's food chain because we were the strongest or the fastest. We got here because we never quit. We chase our prey until it drops from exhaustion. We adapt, we endure, and we survive. She looked at each person in the room. The Draxians are coming here expecting prey. We are going to teach them that sometimes, prey has teeth. In the asteroid belt, on the moons of Jupiter, in hidden bases throughout the outer planets, thousands of weapons came online. Railguns the size of buildings. Missiles by the millions. Kinetic kill vehicles loaded with tungsten rods. All of it built in secret over 200 years of preparation. Humanity had always known this day would come, the day they would meet other intelligent life. They had hoped for friends but prepared for war. Now war was coming. And the Draxian Empire was about to learn humanity's first lesson: never assume the prey is helpless. The 50 Draxian warships appeared at the edge of the solar system like metal gods descending from heaven. Each ship stretched 3 kilometers long and bristled with enough weapons to destroy a small moon. They moved in perfect formation, their silver hulls gleaming against the darkness of space. On the bridge of his flagship, War Master Thomas stood with his arms crossed, staring at the primitive solar system before him. 8 planets orbited a yellow star. The third planet, Earth, looked so small and defenseless from here. Open all communication channels, Thomas ordered. Broadcast the surrender terms. Lieutenant David pressed several buttons on his console. Broadcasting now, sir. All frequencies, 200 languages. The message went out across space. Inhabitants of Earth, you are now part of the Draxian Empire. Turn off all weapons and prepare to accept our rule. If you resist, we will destroy your planet. You have 12 hours to comply. Then they waited. 1 hour passed. Then 2. Then 3. Nothing. No response. No messages. Not even panic broadcasts. Sir, Admiral Henry said, studying his display with growing concern, something is wrong. I am not detecting any military ships. No defense formations. Nothing. Thomas waved his hand dismissively. They are hiding, obviously. Probably running away or evacuating their cities. Standard behavior for primitives who realize they cannot win. But Henry's instincts, sharpened by decades of combat, screamed danger. Tom, where are they? I see some mining ships and cargo vessels, but no military at all. It is too quiet. They are scared. Let them be scared. Thomas turned to his tactical officer. Henry, take 5 ships and investigate their moon base. Let us see what these humans are hiding. Henry nodded and left the bridge. His small squadron broke formation and accelerated toward Earth. As they crossed the orbit of Mars, his sensor officer, a young woman named Emma, suddenly gasped. Sir. Contacts. Hundreds of them appearing on sensors. They were hiding in asteroids, on moons, inside dead comets. They have been here the whole time, just waiting. Henry's eyes widened. All ships, evasive maneuvers. He never finished the sentence. A tungsten rod moving at 30% the speed of light hit the lead ship. The Draxian shields, designed to stop energy beams and plasma, might as well have been made of paper. The kinetic penetrator punched straight through the ship like a bullet through wet tissue. The vessel exploded in complete silence, debris scattering across thousands of kilometers. Then the universe erupted in fire. From every direction, humanity attacked. Hidden bases in asteroids opened fire with railguns. Ships that looked like harmless mining vessels dropped their disguises and revealed massive weapon batteries. Missiles by the thousands streaked through space. Small drones, millions of them, each no bigger than a fist, swarmed toward the Draxian fleet like angry bees. Evasive action. Thomas screamed on the main bridge. Return fire. Where are they shooting from? Everywhere. David shouted over the chaos of alarms and explosions. Sir, they turned the entire outer solar system into a giant trap. This is not a fleet we are fighting, it is the whole solar system. A human ship disguised as a cargo freighter dropped its fake hull panels. Underneath were dozens of railguns. They fired in rapid succession, each shot throwing a metal slug at incredible speed. 3 Draxian destroyers died in seconds, their hulls torn open by projectiles moving faster than their computers could track. Thomas gripped his command chair as his flagship shuddered from impacts. Shields at maximum. Shields do not work, sir, his tactical officer shouted. They are not using energy weapons, just metal and rock, but moving so fast they hit harder than antimatter bombs. Another kinetic round, launched weeks ago on a silent ballistic path, struck the flagship's side. The impact tore through 3 decks and killed hundreds of crew members. Alarms blared as atmosphere vented into space. On Earth, deep in her command bunker, Admiral Rebecca watched the battle unfold on massive screens. Beside her, General William coordinated the attack with cold precision. Section 7, Fire, an officer called out. On Ceres, the largest asteroid in the belt, a mass driver the size of a city launched its payload. 3 minutes later, a Draxian battlecruiser ceased to exist when 10 tons of iron moving at relativistic speed hit its reactor. The explosion was bright enough to be seen from Earth without a telescope. Enemy attempting to regroup, Captain Robert reported. They are trying to form defensive positions. Activate the swarm, Rebecca ordered quietly. Throughout the battlefield, millions of tiny autonomous drones woke up. Each carried just enough explosive to damage a sensor array or thruster port. Individually they were annoying. Together they were devastating. They covered Draxian ships like a plague, detonating in hundreds of places at once. They are breaking, someone in the command center shouted. The Draxian fleet turned and ran. Of 50 warships that had entered the solar system with such confidence, only 17 limped away damaged and bleeding. Thomas's flagship was among the survivors, but barely. Fires burned on multiple decks. Bodies floated in corridors exposed to vacuum. On the bridge, Thomas sat in his command chair in shock. His hands trembled as he stared at the casualty reports. 6 hours. The battle had lasted only 6 hours. 33 capital ships destroyed. Over 100,000 trained soldiers dead. The Empire's reputation for being unbeatable, shattered. Sir, Henry said quietly, his arm wrapped in bloody bandages, we need to report this to the High Lord. Report what, Henry? Thomas's voice was hollow. That we were beaten by primitives? That their so-called chemical explosives tore through our shields? That they turned their entire solar system into one massive weapon and we flew straight into it? The truth, sir. The Empire must know, these humans do not fight like anyone we have ever faced. Thomas looked at the distant blue planet that had just humiliated the greatest military force in the galaxy. No, Henry. They do not fight like soldiers. They fight like killers who have nothing to lose. With shaking hands, Thomas composed his message to the High Council. It was short and contained only one recommendation at the end: send everything. Back on Earth, humanity counted their losses. 12,000 dead. 300 ships destroyed. 2 orbital platforms wrecked. But they had also proven something important: the Draxian Empire could bleed. In the command center, Rebecca looked at the retreating enemy fleet on her screen. They will come back, she said to her officers. Next time with their full strength. We bought time, now we must use it wisely. General William nodded grimly. What do we do? Rebecca's smile was cold and hard. We prepare to teach them that winning a battle against humanity is not the same as winning the war. They think they know what we are capable of now. They have no idea. The first battle was over. The real war was about to begin. And humanity had just announced to the galaxy that they were not prey waiting to be conquered. They were something far more dangerous, survivors who refused to die quietly. The emergency meeting of the Draxian High Council began within hours of receiving Thomas's report. High Lord Marcus sat on his throne, reading the casualty numbers again and again. His hands gripped the armrests so tightly that his knuckles turned white. 33 ships destroyed, Marcus said slowly, his voice dangerously quiet. 100,000 of our finest soldiers dead. Defeated by a species that has never even left their own star system. War Master Thomas stood in the center of the chamber. His uniform was still scorched from battle. He kept his eyes forward, accepting the shame and anger directed at him. Lord Edward jumped from his seat, his face red with fury. This is unacceptable. We have crushed civilizations far more advanced than these humans. How could you lose to them? They do not fight like anyone we have ever met, Thomas explained, his voice steady despite his humiliation. They do not build fleets to meet us in honorable combat. They turn everything into a weapon. Asteroids become guns. Mining ships become warships. Their entire civilization exists to fight. Excuses. Edward spat. You were outsmarted by primitives. Admiral Henry stepped forward to defend his commander. With respect, Lord Edward, these primitives just taught us something we have never experienced: asymmetric warfare. They cannot beat us in open battle, so they refuse to fight openly. Every satellite could be a bomb. Every cargo ship could hide weapons. We cannot target their military because everything they have serves a military purpose. Marcus raised his hand for silence. The chamber became quiet. The question now is not how we failed. The question is what we do next. He turned his cold gaze to Thomas. What is your recommendation, War Master? Thomas straightened his shoulders. We send the Grand Armada, my lord. 2,000 ships. We bombard Earth from orbit until nothing lives. Complete destruction, leave no survivors. Lady Catherine, one of the oldest and wisest council members, spoke softly. You are talking about genocide. Killing an entire species. What message does that send to the galaxy? It sends the message that defiance has consequences. Edward shouted. Does it? Catherine challenged. Or does it tell every species that the Empire destroys rather than rules? That we are afraid? We are not afraid of primitives. Then why do you want to kill them all instead of conquering them properly? The argument raged for hours. But in the end, the decision was obvious. The Empire could not appear weak. If one species could defy them successfully, others would follow. The order went out, mobilize the Grand Armada. 2,000 warships would gather and crush Earth completely. In the command center deep under Earth's mountains, Admiral Rebecca received the intelligence report. Her spy satellites had intercepted Draxian communications. She read the numbers twice before looking up at her officers. 2,000 ships, she said flatly. The room fell silent. General William finally spoke, his voice heavy. We do not have the resources to fight that many. Even with all our tricks, we will be overwhelmed in days. Hours, corrected Captain Arthur, their tactical expert. Once they reach our solar system, we have maybe 12 hours before Earth is destroyed. Then we cannot let them think they can win without consequences, Rebecca said. She pulled up a secret file on the main screen. The words Project Götterdämmerung appeared in red letters. The holographic display showed thousands of small ships on trajectories across the galaxy. Each line pointed toward a different Draxian world. These are autonomous vessels, Rebecca explained to the shocked officers. Each one carries bioweapons, self-replicating machines, and enough antimatter to crack a planet's crust. We have been launching them secretly for 6 months toward every major Draxian world we could identify. Young Lieutenant Peter looked horrified. That is genocide. We would be just as bad as them. That is survival, General William corrected grimly. If they destroy us, these ships will reach their targets over the next 50 years. Automated. Impossible to stop. The Draxians can turn Earth to glass, but we will poison their entire empire from beyond the grave. We cannot do this, Peter protested. This is insane. Rebecca walked to him and put her hand on his shoulder. Peter, let me teach you something about humanity. For 100,000 years, our ancestors hunted prey by chasing it until it collapsed from exhaustion. We were not the fastest or strongest. But we never stopped. Ever. She pointed at the display. The Draxians can kill us. But they cannot make us stop hunting them. Even in death, we will chase them across the stars. But innocent people will die. They died when their empire decided to conquer us, Rebecca said harshly. I do not like it either. But we are not starting this war, we are making sure that if we lose, everyone loses. That is the message we are sending. You can have victory, or you can have survival. Not both. The message was transmitted to the Draxian High Council on an open channel for all to see. We know you are coming with your full fleet. We know you will probably win. But we have seeded your empire with doomsday weapons that activate if Earth falls. You can conquer us, but you will spend the next century watching your worlds die one by one. We offer one alternative: withdraw, recognize our independence, and we recall the weapons. You have 72 hours to decide. On his throne, Marcus read the message 3 times. His intelligence officers confirmed the worst. Human ships had been detected leaving their solar system over recent months. They had assumed the humans were running away. Instead, they were delivering death sentences. They are bluffing, Edward insisted. Are they? Lady Catherine asked. These are the same humans who turned their solar system into a trap. Who sacrificed thousands of their own just to hurt us. Does that sound like a species that bluffs? Marcus stared at Earth's location on the star map. One tiny blue world. And yet, by refusing to surrender, they had done what no other species had managed in 3,000 years. They had made the Draxian Empire hesitate. We are predators, Marcus said quietly. We built our empire by being the apex predator of the galaxy. And they are prey that bites back, Henry added. My lord, in nature, predators avoid prey that is too dangerous to hunt. The risk is not worth the meal. So we let them defy us? Show weakness to the entire galaxy. We show wisdom, Catherine said. We show that the Empire is strong enough to choose peace, not just war. The debate continued for days. But one truth became clear: for the first time in 3,000 years, the Draxian Empire faced an enemy they could not simply conquer. They could only kill them at a cost so high it might destroy the Empire itself. Humanity had introduced the galaxy to a new concept: mutually assured destruction. If we die, you die with us. And the universe would never be quite the same. Because sometimes, the most dangerous enemy is not the one who can defeat you. It is the one willing to drag you into the grave with them. High Lord Marcus looked at the countdown timer. 72 hours to decide the fate of two civilizations. The Grand Armada gathered at the edge of the solar system like a storm of steel and fire. 2,000 warships, the combined might of the Draxian Empire's military. It was a force powerful enough to sterilize entire star sectors. Against one small planet, it seemed like using a hammer to crush an ant. But this ant had teeth. War Master Thomas stood on the bridge of his new flagship and watched the fleet coordinates align. Beside him, Admiral Henry reviewed the attack plan one final time. High Lord Marcus himself had joined the fleet, determined to witness humanity's end personally. First wave hits Mars orbit, Henry explained. Then we begin planetary bombardment immediately. Intelligence suggests they have evacuated their cities to underground shelters. We will need sustained fire to reach them. How long? Marcus asked. 48 hours of continuous bombardment to ensure complete. Sir. Communications Officer Emma interrupted. Receiving transmission from Earth. Broadcasting on all frequencies. Put it through, Marcus ordered. Admiral Rebecca's face appeared on the main screen. Behind her, the Earth Command Center buzzed with activity. She looked tired but her eyes were fierce. High Lord Marcus, she said. I assume you decided to ignore our warning. Your threats will not work, human, Marcus replied coldly. We have analyzed your so-called doomsday weapons. They are a bluff. Rebecca smiled, but there was no warmth in it. Admiral Henry is there with you, correct? Admiral, you fought us in the first battle. Tell your High Lord, have we ever bluffed? Henry remained silent, but his face said everything. We are not asking you to leave out of mercy, Rebecca continued. We are offering a choice: take Earth and lose 50 of your worlds, or walk away and both of us survive. Simple mathematics. You will die either way, Marcus said. Oh, absolutely, Rebecca agreed. But you see, High Lord, humanity has a saying: if I am going down, I am taking you with me. This is not about winning anymore. This is about making sure you regret ever hearing the name Earth. The transmission ended. Marcus turned to his officers. Begin the assault. The Grand Armada crossed Neptune's orbit, and hell was unleashed. Humanity had spent every moment since the first battle preparing. What had been a trap before now became a nightmare. Every asteroid was a mine. Every piece of space debris was a kinetic weapon waiting to accelerate. The ice rings of Saturn contained thousands of autonomous war platforms. But this time, the Draxians were ready. Their shields had been modified to deflect solid projectiles. Their defense systems targeted kinetic rounds thousands of kilometers away. The human weapons that had been so devastating before now only slowed the advance. They are learning, General Williams said grimly, watching the tactical display from Earth Command. Our advantages are disappearing. Then we go to Plan Delta, Rebecca replied. She opened a secure channel. All units, Delta Protocol. Make every meter cost them blood. Humanity's remaining fleet, only 300 ships against 2,000, emerged from hiding around Jupiter. They did not try to fight the Armada directly. Instead, they attacked supply lines, destroyed isolated stragglers, and retreated before the Draxians could respond. They are running. Lord Edward shouted from his command ship. No, Henry said quietly. They are bleeding us slowly. He was right. The human fleet would dart in, destroy a supply vessel or communication relay, then vanish into the asteroid belt. The Draxians would pursue, only to fly into prepared kill zones. Then the humans would retreat again. Death by 1,000 cuts. And it was working. By the time the Grand Armada reached Mars orbit, they had lost 87 ships, not to glorious battle, but to ambushes, traps, and guerrilla tactics that made traditional warfare meaningless. Enough. Marcus roared. All ships, Mars orbit. Begin bombardment of Earth immediately. The fleet positioned itself. Massive plasma cannons aimed at the blue world below. But before the order to fire could be given, an officer at Earth Command spoke urgently. Sir, detecting launches from Earth. Thousands of them. Evacuation ships, someone said. No, Rebecca corrected, her voice like ice. Colony ships. We are scattering. Across Earth's surface, massive vessels, built in secret over decades, launched from hidden bases. Each carried 50,000 people, genetic banks, cultural databases, and fabrication technology. They scattered in 1,000 different directions, some toward nearby stars, others toward uncharted space. Track them. Marcus ordered. Destroy them. There are too many, Henry reported. We can catch maybe 10%. The rest will escape. Rebecca's face reappeared on their screens. You wanted Earth, High Lord? You can have it. But humanity? You will never catch all of us. We will be out there, growing, spreading, remembering. And in 50 years, 100, 1,000, we will come back. Not for revenge. Just to remind you, we are still here. Destroy those ships. Edward demanded. Wait, Lady Catherine's voice came through from the council chambers. High Lord, look at the tactical projection. The display showed colony ship trajectories. They were heading toward every corner of the galaxy, including straight through Draxian territory. If we hunt them all, Catherine continued, we will need to split our fleet into hundreds of groups. Our empire will be stretched thin for decades, chasing refugees. Meanwhile, their automated weapons will still be heading toward our worlds. Marcus stared at Earth, so close to defeat, yet somehow slipping through his fingers. His voice came out as a whisper. Fire. Sir. Fire. The Grand Armada unleashed hell on Earth. Cities burned. Oceans boiled. The surface became molten. But the underground shelters held. Humans had built deep, built strong, and built to survive the end of the world. And above the dying planet, colony ships jumped to faster-than-light speed, carrying humanity's seeds to 1,000 new worlds. In his command center, General William turned to Rebecca. It is done. Earth is lost. Earth is just a planet, Rebecca replied, watching the bombardment. Humanity is an idea. And ideas cannot be bombed into submission. In space, Thomas watched the colony ships vanish and felt cold certainty settle over him. The Empire had won the battle for Earth. But they had just lost the war for the galaxy. Because now humanity was not confined to one world. They were everywhere. And they would remember. They would always remember. 1 year after the Battle of Earth. The neutral space station Providence floated in the void between Draxian and human territories. It was neutral ground, built by other alien species who nervously watched two civilizations tear each other apart. They wanted peace before the war spread across the entire galaxy. Admiral Rebecca stepped off her shuttle, wearing a crisp uniform despite the long journey. Earth was still a scorched wasteland, but humanity was slowly rebuilding. She came not from Earth, but from New Terra, one of the largest colony worlds humanity had established during their forced exodus. Across the docking bay, War Master Thomas and Admiral Henry waited. They wore dress uniforms, not battle armor. That was something, at least. Admiral Rebecca, Thomas greeted her formally. Thank you for coming. War Master. Admiral Henry. Rebecca nodded to each. I hear the Draxian High Council is actually willing to negotiate this time, instead of demanding surrender. Things have changed, Henry said carefully. They walked through the station in silence, guards from both sides following. Finally, Rebecca spoke. How many ships have you lost hunting our colony fleets? Thomas's jaw tightened. 317 vessels. Another 412 damaged. We have been chasing ghosts for a year. And your worlds? 2 planets infected with your bioweapons. Both quarantined. We stopped the spread, but... Henry shook his head. We still have 15 of your automated weapons out there, heading toward various targets. We cannot catch them all. You could have, Rebecca said. If you had accepted our original terms. Yes, Thomas agreed simply. We could have. They entered the negotiation chamber. High Lord Marcus sat at one end of a long table with Lords Catherine and Edward. On the human side sat Rebecca, General William, and Captain Peter, who had been promoted after rescuing a trapped colony ship. Marcus spoke first. Admiral Rebecca. We are here to discuss terms. You mean peace, Rebecca corrected. Not surrender. Not subjugation. Peace. Yes, Marcus said, and the word seemed painful for him. The Draxian Empire recognizes the sovereign independence of humanity. The words hung in the air. Across the galaxy, billions watching the broadcast held their breath. This was history being made. In exchange, Lady Catherine added, you will recall your automated weapons and cease all hostile operations against Draxian worlds. William leaned over to whisper to Rebecca, but she held up her hand. Before we agree, I need to know, why now? You still have the strength to hunt us down. Do we? Marcus asked. You have established 47 colony worlds in 1 year. 47. At this rate, in a decade you will have 500. In a century? He shook his head. You are spreading faster than we can contain. Meanwhile, our empire grows restless. Other species are watching. Some wonder, if humanity can defy us, why cannot they? You are worried we inspired a rebellion, Peter said. We are worried we cannot afford to fight you and maintain our empire, Edward admitted bitterly. You have cost us more in 1 year than the last 100 years of expansion combined. Not just in ships, Henry added quietly. In reputation. The Draxian Empire was invincible. Until you. Rebecca leaned back in her chair. So this is pragmatism, not morality. If you want pretty words about respecting life, I cannot offer them, Marcus said bluntly. But I can offer truth. The Empire cannot afford to fight humanity. Not because you are stronger, but because you are too costly to conquer. Every world we take, you take 2 more. Every ship we destroy, you build 3. You refuse to die. He is not wrong, Rebecca said. She stood and walked to the viewing port where stars glittered in the darkness. Humanity learned long ago that we were not the strongest. We are not the fastest, not the toughest. But we endure. We survive. And we remember. She turned back to face the Draxians. Here are our terms. The Empire recognizes humanity's independence. We get Earth back, you help clean it up since you made the mess. We keep our colony worlds, all 47 and counting. In exchange, we recall our automated weapons and sign a non-aggression pact. What stops you from attacking us later? Edward demanded. What stops you? Peter countered. Catherine spoke up. We propose a trade agreement. Cultural exchange. Open borders for civilian traffic. Make it more profitable to be partners than enemies. You want to trade with us? William asked, surprised. After we tried to kill each other? War's end, Catherine said. What matters is what comes after. The negotiations continued for 3 days. Every clause was argued, every term debated. But finally, the Treaty of Providence was signed by both sides. Humanity gained independence, 3 star systems including Earth, reparations for Earth's destruction, and recognition as a sovereign species. The Draxians gained peace, the recall of humanity's doomsday weapons, and the knowledge they would not spend the next century hunting human colonies. As Rebecca prepared to leave the station, Thomas approached her one final time. I underestimated you, he said simply. It cost thousands of lives on both sides. Yes, it did, Rebecca agreed. Will you make the same mistake twice? No, Thomas said. And I do not think anyone else in the galaxy will either. Word is spreading. The species that made the Draxian Empire blink. Some will fear you. Others will respect you. And you? Thomas considered carefully. Both. You are terrifying, Admiral. Not because you are violent, but because you will not stop. Ever. Even in defeat, you found a way to win. We did not win, Rebecca corrected. We survived. There is a difference. Is there? From where I stand, survival seems to be humanity's greatest weapon. Rebecca boarded her shuttle but paused at the airlock. War Master, one more thing. Yes? This peace will last as long as it is more profitable than war. Remember that. Humanity will honor our treaty, but if you ever threaten us again, we will not show restraint a second time. We will show you what spite really looks like. She left, and Thomas watched her ship depart. Henry joined him at the observation deck. Think the peace will hold? Henry asked. Does it matter? We cannot afford another war with them. Thomas shook his head. They came to our attention as prey, Henry. Now they are something we do not have a name for. Not predators, not prey. Something in between that refuses to follow the rules. Humans, Henry said simply. Yes, humans. 20 years later, on a rebuilt Earth, Retired Admiral Rebecca stood before a class of students in the Grand Archive in Geneva. A young girl named Alice raised her hand. Why did we fight? We could have surrendered. Millions would have lived. Rebecca smiled sadly. Would they have lived, Alice? Or just existed? There is a difference between breathing and being alive. She pulled up a holographic star map showing human colonies scattered across the galaxy. When I was your age, humanity lived on one world. One. If that world fell, we were extinct. Now we are on 217 worlds. We trade with 4 to 7 alien species. We are members of the Galactic Congress, not as subjects, but as equals. That was worth fighting for. Do you think we will fight them again? A boy named Oliver asked. Maybe, Rebecca said honestly. Peace is just the time between wars. But if they come again, they will know what humanity is capable of. They will know we do not fight to win, we fight to make you regret starting the fight. She looked up at the stars. The Draxians taught us we are not alone. But we taught them something too: humanity does not know how to quit. You can beat us in a battle. You might win the war. But you will never stop us from coming after you. What are we? Alice asked quietly. Rebecca turned back to them, her smile fierce. We are human. And that is enough.